I'm Emma Reaney, and I work in the International Affairs branch of the Canadian Food Inspection Agency and Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada. And I'm going to talk a little bit today about how charitable organizations have had a positive impact on my life and my family's. But first, I'd like to introduce you to my daughter. Can you tell everybody your name?
Kira.
And how old are you, Kira? 8, right on. So when Kira was 15 months old, she got really sick and had to spend over 6 months in the hospital. Do you remember that, Kira? No. But do you mind if I tell my friends a little bit about your story?
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Kira's story and how charitable organizations helped our family get through a really difficult time. We were in Chio for over 6 months, and in that time, Kira was in a coma for almost a month in the ICU. She had countless scans and needles and 5 surgeries, one of which was to give her a tracheostomy and a feeding tube. And I can talk about this quite comfortably now. I can tell you every single detail of the 6 months that we spent at Chio. And I can tell you about, every conversation I had with every doctor, every interaction I had with nurses, therapists. I remember it all like it was yesterday. Those 6 months represent the absolute most devastating and desperate time in my life. Watching my daughter fight for her life with tubes running into her little body, surrounded by machines, watching her fight to regain the tiniest bit of control of her body, one tiny baby step at a time, watching her little body go through withdrawal from the strong medications that they had to give her to keep her unconscious, breathing through countless quiet minutes of waiting for another piece of horrible news, praying for progress, for strength, and for acceptance of things that I couldn't change, and dealing with pain, with her pain that I could not take away. It was indescribable in that sense. However, through it all, my daughter was an absolute warrior. She always seemed to find joy. She always seemed to find something to smile about. And she is an absolute miracle and continues to be a radiant ray of sunshine. And this is where I'm going to focus in on one particular charitable organization close to my heart, and that's Ronald McDonald House. So in the ICU, they have a family space. It's designed to be like a living room, and it has a fireplace and comfy couches, a TV, and attached to that room is a nice bathroom and a small kitchen. And when Kira was in the ICU, I couldn't leave her. I literally lived by her side. I slept there. I listened to the constant beeping and buzzing and humming, willing her to wake up, telling her over and over and over how much I loved her. But I refused to cry. I didn't want her to hear me, and I didn't want her to feel my pain. And I knew that if I started, there was no way that I would stop. So the Ronald McDonald family room was just down the hall from Kira's ICU room, and I would retreat there to hug my family, to visit Kira's siblings, and to eat, even if I didn't want to. It was definitely something I never would have been able to articulate that I needed, but 100% critical to my ability to be the best I could be for Kira. When Kira was released from the ICU, we moved to the medical floor, and on that floor there's a similar family room. And in the beginning, because of Kira's trach, she couldn't leave her hospital room, so we literally spent our days and nights in the corner of a hospital room. And you know, that seemed well, it didn't seem, it was extremely isolating. But after my husband and I got trach trained, so we were able to care for Kira's trach in the event of an emergency. So once we were trach trained, we could leave the room with Kira without a nurse in tow. So we would, at that point, we would walk down the hallway again to the Ronald McDonald family room, which was just a little short walk away. And that's where we would go to meet with our family when they came to visit. Our parents, Kira's older brother and sister, our siblings, and they would often, you know, bring us hot meals, which was super nice. And connected to that family room, there's a big kitchen with a table and a number of chairs around it, so you could have what I would call a proper family meal. And there were 2 living rooms so that other families could meet at the same time and have privacy. And I really savored that time. I looked forward to it all day. Kira and I would be at therapy, and she would look forward to it. I would tell her who was coming to visit that night, and we would go there and meet everyone for dinner. There was also a nice washroom there because I was literally living in the hospital, so it was nice to sneak down there and use the shower. And there was also laundry. So it was really a lifesaver for me when we were there for such a long time. And I would also sneak down there when Kira was napping. They always had fresh coffee brewing, so I would sneak down there and I'd get a hot coffee and enjoy the sunshine. There were lots of windows there, and so that really had an impact on me during those months. And as Kira stabilized and she was able to sleep through the night, she had 24-hour nursing because of her trach, but once she started to sleep through the night and become more stable and comfortable in her environment, I felt okay to move to the Ronald McDonald House. And I think that was a few months in. I started walking to Ronald McDonald House across the street from Chio to sleep. I say I was living there, but really I was sleeping there. And it was, you know, a home away from home. It had all of the comforts of a home, not necessarily, you know, my home or the home of the others that were living there, but we all felt at home there. And you know, we had a bedroom with quilts and I had my own bathroom, and again there was a shared kitchen and a shared living space, and there was a great sense of community and comfort in that. You know, they had hot meals there. In any case, I would walk over there after Kira was asleep, and then get up in the morning to greet Kira as she opened her eyes the next day. And I talked a little bit last year about how when I walked from Ronald McDonald House to Chio, that is when I would, you know, let it all out. I would cry, I would say my prayers, and, you know, talk to myself, and, you know, ultimately embarrass myself because there was all this oncoming traffic there in the morning. But I would enter Chio the next morning with you know, a new energy for the day, and I was ready to tackle that day's challenges and be the best support that I could be for Kira, because ultimately the challenges were hers, and she faced them head on every day, all day. And so ultimately, you know, looking back on those 6 months, I felt helpless. I've never felt so helpless, but at the same time, I've never felt so strong, so determined, so focused. There was a strength there that I didn't know that I had, and I would have and will do anything for her, for any of our children. And, you know, I really drew on that. But it was nice to know that there were people there who cared about you, who wanted you to have the support you needed. And so I'm highlighting, you know, Ronald McDonald House because it's a charity that helped me when I was too tired to see that I needed help, when I was, you know, too exhausted to even think to ask for it. It was just there. And I'm more grateful for it now than I was then. I just, you know, ultimately, like when I look back on those 6 months, that horrible time in our lives, I can say that I can see that charity and mental health are very closely connected. And charity to me is about community. It's about relieving burden and providing support that we never knew we needed, or never even thought to think we might need. And, you know, supporting a charitable organization, you may never see the positive impact that it offers or that it creates. But I can assure you that you are making a difference, that charitable organizations are important, and they do have a positive impact, but they also can change a life, can save a life. And, you know, you may never see that impact, but ultimately, I think, you know, charity is giving in faith, and it connects us across distances, and it gets us through desperate, devastating times in our lives. And I think, you know, just reflecting on what I've just shared, my story, the challenges that my family and that I faced, you know, and thinking about that in the context that we're currently living in, and how we are being faced with new challenges. We're all, you know, working from home and maybe not seeing our friends and family as much as we're used to, and feeling particularly isolated. But at the same time, I think it's interesting because for me, the pandemic has also really shone a light on how important it is to stay connected and to really tighten our bond as a community, and to be in touch with one another even if we can't see one another. And it's not always easy, but I think it is so important that we reach out, that we help out, that we do what we can, so that we can all get through this together and stay together, whether or not we are so physically. And I think this campaign is a great way. It's very representative of that, and it's bringing us together as a community to help other communities. So I think we are facing unique times and challenging times, and we have this excellent opportunity to make a difference. So I encourage you to jump in and participate and support the GCWCC campaign this year. I know that, you know, each of us can make a difference, but collectively we can make a huge impact. So there you go.
Keep safe and keep well.